clear and precise presentation. I have one or two issues to raise. One, when you look at the areas where budget cuts have been effected, like in the area of electricity and in public facilities, that is the last mile, water and sanitation, roads, school infrastructure, and even construction of TVETs. Actually, the moment you remove money from these areas, you can easily ground the country. And so, in my proposal, why can't we have budget cuts focusing on recurrent expenditure and operations more than in the area of development, so that we raise money for development by effecting budget cuts in the area of operation? For example, there are so many areas like the mergers of parastatals, as has been said, austerity measures in various ministries that are duplicating each other. We've been in this budget committee and we've seen, for example, the commission on Nairobi River being implemented by 3 ministries, and each of them is bringing a budget here for implementing the same thing. I don't know whether you've been able to identify those duplication of roles so that we can remove money and rechannel this money in this area. And so we can be able to raise money if we are serious. The other thing is, apart from just the normal budget presentations, has the ministry done a 3-5-year projection on austerity measures and say, within the next 4-5 years, if we actually delve into austerity measures properly, we can raise this amount and channel it to development. Finally, what is the impact of the pending bills of 2023-2024 financial year to the 2024-2025 budget? What is the fate of this carryover? Thank you, Chairman.
Then we go to Honorable Miri Mabona.
Thank you, Chair. And I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary and the entire Treasury for a good presentation. And Chair, I just want to say that I support the budget cuts, and even though that I think we can reduce even further. I think I'm not saying just because of what is happening here. I have actually said it before in this committee, because we need to be very realistic in the way we do our budgeting. I saw a comment by one of the Gen Zs that was actually equating our national budget to our own family budgets. And if you have only 10,000 Kenya shillings and you need to do food, buy food and buy shoes, you can't do shoes and then leave food. But the way we have been budgeting is actually the opposite. We are buying shoes and leaving food. And when we do that, then there is pressure for us to increase revenue, and hence the finance, infamous finance bill. So for me, it's very important that we are more realistic, because we create an artificial need for revenue when we can actually budget as a country within our means. I know we have blamed the IMFs and all, and I'm sure they are doing wrong. But first, let us point fingers at ourselves before we point fingers even at the IMF, because there are things we can do at home that don't need to put those kind of pressure on us. Chair, the only thing, other thing I wanted to indicate is that I've seen that the Treasury has indicated areas where they need the cuts, but without premising them on certain principles. And that's why Daktari is actually going back to leave this and that. If you want to be very fair, it's always good to move on principles. And for me, one, which I've again said several in this committee, is there equity? One, in the cuts. And secondly, not only just in the cuts, but in the spreading out of the little, since we are going on austerity measures. And the Chair, I don't want to be selfish, but this is a very skeletal document, which, and if with the documents that you have on cuts, yeah, they are about from page 1 to page 9, yeah. If you are looking at the estimates, the printed estimates, they are like this voluminous, they are that big. What is the possibility that 2 projects in my constituency, for instance, would be here? That shows lack of equity. I don't mind programs in my constituency being removed for us to deal with the issues of austerity now and to deal with the crisis in the country, but there must be equity, both in cuts and also in spreading out what is remaining. Secondly, we must look at or preserve the pro-people project, the one that reaches people directly, especially Gen Zs, in terms of job creation, but also in terms of training. So if you are removing the ones that are reaching them, but we are retaining some which may not add that sort of value, it doesn't help. Then third, projects that can stimulate the economy. And Chair, for instance, there are some construction, there are ongoing constructions which you don't need. I know there are many we've removed, but there are some that I've actually seen that are there. Again, consolidating roles is another. Unfortunately, one of the areas I've seen is an area I'm very passionate about, so I will not say it, I will not mention it, but it's an area I'm very passionate about. But they have 3 different agencies doing one thing. It's a lot of wastage. And if you are serious, and that's what part of the conditionalities I think that IMF has given us, but we are going round and round like we are not able to. Again, share the issue of public participation. Because we went to the public, they told us where the issue is pinching. Let's not remove that. And finally, Chair, on a light note, I can, you have told us that the demonstrations are keeping tourists away. But I actually think it's the opposite. If you can actually do away with the police beating demonstrators and the goons that are somehow infused, why? Because Ugandans will come here, Nigerians will come to see our Gen Zs are actually demonstrating with style, you know. They are good, they dance, they do no peaceful, no distraction, so we can actually use it to bring more tourists. So just be nice to the Gen Zs. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chris Aseka, member for Quisero.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, PCS, and I want to declare some interest. PCS is my political father. We only parted ways when he declared an earthquake.
So umeharibika afterwards.
No, when he declared an earthquake, I thought maybe it would bring down the whole world. I didn't know that it was a political earthquake. But it's good to know that he's brought me up in politics. I have to. I may not be an authority in economics, but I think the technical people from Treasury are. When you reduce a budget by a whopping 138 billion from development expenditures, what it means that you are reducing economic activities in the economy. The net effect is that the collections will be down and the economy will not grow. The PS has alluded to them, but I don't know if the PS interacted with this document before it was brought to the National Assembly. 2, when you reduce domestic travels, it means you are affecting service industry in the entire country. The net effect is that the economy will not grow. I agree with my Vice Chair. How do you expect to grow this economy by 5.5%? 2, you have indicated that you are trying to encourage direct foreign investment in this country. We've had reports that many investors are fleeing out of Kenya to our neighboring countries. What could be the reasons? And from where you see Treasury, is there a strategy you put in place to really attract this direct foreign investment? Thank you, Chair.
Honorable David Ochieng.
Chair, thank you so much, and thank you so much, PCS and the PS Treasury. Got a couple of questions. The first one is, Chair, the finance bill that everyone keeps talking about, where did it come from? Treasury or State House? What is your role in it? Because everyone's starting to wash their hands off it. It now became Parliament's baby. And there are things there that were brought in the last Finance Act as remedies to situations that we had at that time. For example, we reduced taxation on cooking oil. We were proposing to increase it in this budget. We reduced in the finance bill. We reduced the price of bread. We were all of a sudden increasing it. The motor vehicle tax, and all these things. Where did these proposals come from? Thank you so much. Because it is the elephant in the room. The last financial year, 2023-24, the finance bill was quite top-heavy. And we were told that if you just pass this finance bill, if you just allow this housing levy and all these things, they will have revenues. But the reports we are now getting is that the returns from the 2023-24 Finance Act are not what we projected. What went wrong? Why are we not able to harness the gains we made in the Finance Act 23-24? Number two, the KRA reforms. Because, Chair, as you would know, and we've been told, this is not conjecture, there are KRA staff who are running mini KRAs. We've been told through the media so many times the fact that the KRA could actually collect more than what they are collecting now by half, meaning they could collect 1.5 of what they are collecting now. Why must we mix KRA reforms with the finance bill? Why can't we just pick out the reforms we need to work on KRA? If it is corruption, if it is systems, if it is the people, because we are losing money in that regard. I personally believe, and I still believe to date, we did not need a finance bill this financial year. If we had done the reforms we required, the finance bill of this year would have been reducing the burden on Kenyans. Because you told us very clearly last year that this is the silver bullet. Chair, our fiscal policy environment and framework, in the last 18 months, 24 months, we seem to be playing ping pong with the economic policy. No one knows whether next year we'll have another tax hikes on areas that promote investments. There's no certainty. There's no predictability. How do we convince people to come into this market if next year again we'll have the kind of thing happening today? People going to the streets because the gains we've made in the previous finance acts and finance bills are being eroded by doing the right things we should be doing. Chair, I would like to know how the Treasury is working with the Office of the Auditor General. Because that office has flagged so many things the last 1 year. The areas where you're losing money in the counties at the national government level. Issues of accountability by CDF committees in the constituencies, the various ministries and parastatals. What is being done to ensure that that is available is being used the right way, so that the measures we are now proposing, the austerity measures we are now proposing, are able to make us have some gains in that. And finally, just following up on what the Honorable Millie has said, in these cuts, and I say this is a very heavy cut, a very heavy hat, in these cuts, there is almost a clear pattern that in the cuts you are making, the MPs who voted no are being targeted in their constituencies. What do you have to say about that? Thank you.
Let me go to